the Mamaroneck Fire Company record book, their minute book, their dues book, their notations of fires, they have a record of it from the absolute very beginning. The historical notes on page 2, dated January 1st, 1894, and signed by Charles Buckter, Secretary. The very first paragraph reads, "For upwards of 20 years, that is from the time that the old factory burnt down, the quiet and unostentatious town of Mamaroneck was not visited by any conflagration to speak of until that fatal New Year's Eve, when without warning the sleeping town was awakened only to find itself enrafted in flames, and then it suddenly dawned upon the people's blanched faces that they were devoid of any fire apparatus or fire department. The fire, after a stubborn resistance, was finally extinguished by hard work with buckets. This fire occurred on New Year's Eve, 1884. That's how the fire department came to be. Mr. Walter Weber will speak to you of the history, but also in the record of fires. Here it says 1890, November 22nd, so therefore the fire company started November 13th, 1890, and on November 22nd, the first fire listed at 5:25 p.m. at Washingtonville was a brush heap. The second one was November 26th at 7:10 p.m. at the Hotel Sheldrake Sheds. December 22nd, 9:50 p.m. at T.F. Oakes Carriage House. December 31st at 6:10 p.m., it seems all the fires happened in the evening, at William Squire's Barn in Rye. And January 25th, starting off the new year, 1891, at 7:10 p.m. at the W.A. Disbrow's Barn. And it goes on to list all of the fires that they handled 100 years ago.
I'd like to introduce Captain Dave Barney, ex-Captain Captain Miller, Chief Joe Guerreri.
He's our chief today.
He is the chief
of the fire department now.
Right.
Wonderful.
Ex-Chief Walter Weber, and let me say an interesting thing about Chief Weber. When Bert Megan was honored by the Historical Society back in June, we have a tape to this effect. He talked about Walter Weber and his father both being chiefs. And he said that wouldn't happen in most communities, but it does happen here in Mamaroneck, where we have very, very strong roots. So sometime you ought to really listen to Bert's talk. It was very interesting. Next to Chief Miller is ex-Chief Harold Rocco. And right over here on the camera is Frank DeVincent. Does a wonderful job. And I have the pleasure of introducing our program chairperson, and the historian for the village of Mamaroneck and the town of Mamaroneck, Gloria Posha Pritz. Gloria?
Thank you, Bing. It's such a pleasure to be here this evening to celebrate the centennial of the Mamaroneck Fire Company, which started November 13th, 1890, correct, gentlemen?
100 years.
100 years tomorrow. Isn't that fabulous? 100 years of service to Mamaroneck, putting out our fires, taking care of us, just absolutely wonderful. In any event, we're going to hear about the history of Mamaroneck Fire Company, and also see all of these fabulous pictures and memorabilia. It just seems it's going to be a fascinating program. So, Walter Weber, are you going to go ahead with the history?
I'll start off.
Okay.
Take the hats off. We take
Now
the
take your hats off so we can see your handsome faces.
Which one? I have some excerpts taken from the two journals, Hook and Ladder Journal, Anniversary Journal, 1984, and also the 1925 Convention Journal, the convention of the Firemen's Association of the State of New York was held here, and this was headquarters. Mamaro Engine Hose Company was organized on November 13th, 1890, as Mamaro Hose Company number 1. Meeting held in the rooms of the Fife and Drum Corps in the its first officers were Charles Berger, foreman, Jesse Palmer, first assistant foreman, John W. McCabe, second assistant foreman, Charles Buckner, secretary, James Corrigan, treasurer, and H. was charter members, M. Buck, Harry Grant, Gedney, Ray Baxter, Joe Garland, Harry Brower, Jesse Palmer, Henry Anthus, Charles E. Tooker, William Hyler, Anton Hanser, Harry Weeks, Gus Anthus, Charles C.W. John W. Martin, John W. McCabe, and James Carson. 4 days following, Hook and Ladder held a special meeting to act on a letter from the hose company. The letter in part read as follows: "We, the Mamaro Hose Company number 1 of Mamaroneck, being duly organized and ready to respond to the alarm of fire and work for the protection of life and property, do hereby petition the Union Hook and Ladder Company number 1 to grant us possession of the hose carriage and appliance. Following the discussion of the request, Hook and Ladder resolved to grant Mamaro's request when Mamaro shows the proper credentials showing their right to accept the same after receiving their charter. It was moved and seconded that Mamaro be allowed to use the same until such time as they get their charter." On April the 6th, 1891, during Hook and Ladder's regular meeting, a series of motions initiated by Charles M. Baxter Sr., the groundwork was laid to hold a joint meeting with Mamaro to form a fire department, elect a chief, and turn over the jumper to Mamaro Hose Company number 1, which had just been incorporated. A Hook and Ladder committee was formed to make arrangements for the joint meeting. 10 days later, the Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck Fire Department was born. On this occasion, April 16th, 1891, Hook and Ladder presented Mamaro with the hose carriage and 500 feet of hose. The election of a chief and the company, highlighted by the fire department's first organizational meeting convention, Town Hall. The third company mentioned was the Fire Patrol Company number 1. I have a picture of that right here. I don't know if you all can see that. And that was headed by Judge William A. Boyd, captain. After lengthy discussions, pro and con, the patrol company was admitted. The latter company foreman, Merritt Sands, formally presented the hose carriage and appliances to the assistant foreman, Jesse Palmer of Mamaro Hose Company number 1. Under the agreement, Mamaro would control the fire department's hose apparatus, and Hook and Ladder would retain control of the ladder truck. Nominations were made and carried for the following chief officers of the Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck Fire Department. Elected were Chief Daniel Stuber, Hook and Ladder Company, First Assistant Chief Harry Grant, Mamaro Company, Second Assistant Chief William S. Yale, Patrol Company, Treasurer Augustus Anthus, Mamaro Company, Secretary Judge William Boyd, Patrol Company. Following the elections, First Assistant Foreman Jesse Palmer called the newly elected chief to the platform and presented him a silver trumpet inscribed, "Presented by Mamaro Hose Company number 1 to the first chief of the Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck Fire Department." That first chief was Daniel Stuber out of Hook and Ladder. He owned a soft drink and beer store up on East Post Road, and I have one of his original bottles here. It says, Mamaroneck, New York. And that was around 18, well, I guess 90, somewhere in there.
Walter,
But, yes,
before you
ma'am.
go, I have a question. You're saying the Mamaroneck and the Rhinebeck Fire Company, what area of land did they cover? I mean, the way Mamaro is called. You went into Rhinebeck, even though there was no village of Mamaroneck. Now, you went as far as the New Rochelle border?
Wherever the Mamaroneck line was at the time, that's what they covered.
The town of Mamaroneck line, because that's what it was.
And-
1891, it was the town. The
and
village was not started until 95.
Right, and the Rhinebeck area also.
And the Rhinebeck, even though it was not the town of Mamaroneck, that was
It
in the
was
town of Rye. But
right.
Mamaro still
But-
covered that entire area. That's
Right.
incredible.
Mamaro and Hookalata.
Uh-huh.
Two
And that's why I guess it was called then the Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck Fire
fire
Company.
fire department.
Fire
Right.
Department.
These two badges are from the Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck Fire Department. For their good work at a disastrous fire on Orienta Point on August 26, 1892, Mamaro was given a $500 purse. With this money, the company was able to purchase a new four-wheel hose carriage. And that carriage is that first picture up there.
The hose carriage only had hose.
That's right.
What would you hook up to?
They had hydrants at that
They
time.
did have
Yeah,
hydrants.
uh-huh. Hydrants in the business district.
But they didn't have it in Orienta.
Well, what they did in Orienta, I don't know, but they
Whatever
probably
they did was good, 'cause they were
reverted
getting
back to the buckets.
The bucket?
The new carriage was delivered on October 27, 1892. It had a colored light that surmounted an arch at the front with a white light on either side, and it carried 3 bells and a large center-mounted reel capable of holding 1,500 feet of hose. This carriage was kept at Foreman John W. McCade's carriage house on Mamaroneck Avenue. At a village board meeting on November 25, 1896, a resolution was offered and passed to establish a village fire department. That would include Hookalata, Mamaro, Fire Patrol, and volunteer companies. However, while attempting to form a village fire department from the Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck Fire Department, the village could not effect a direct takeover because the 4 companies owned their equipment, and the village had no authority to assign apparatus it did not own. The village set up a fire department committee and promised to supply the companies whatever they would need if they turned over all of the equipment to the village. The companies did not accept the village's terms readily, and the transfer of property ownership was not completed right away. On April 6, 1898, a motion was offered and adopted by the village board to allow the fire department committee to employ counsel to complete the work necessary as may be required to incorporate the Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck Fire Department into the fire department of the village of Mamaroneck. On April 25, 1898, the village board, acting as a fire commission, officially organized the Mamaro and volunteer companies. The 2 companies having agreed previously to surrender their property to the village. The Fire Patrol reached accord with the village and was organized May 18, 1898. It was on this date that the Mamaroneck Village Fire Department was organized. Hookalata was next to become part of the Village and Mamaroneck Fire Department, when on June 8, 1898, the village board, acting as a fire commission, officially organized Hookalata, and the company was admitted to the Mamaroneck Village Fire Department. In the year 1900, Mamaro became Mamaro Engine and Hose Company number 1. On October the 10th, 1904, the village supplied Mamaro with a new horse-drawn American LaFrance Metropolitan steamer. and in January of 1906, a new horse-drawn hose wagon was added. And if you point that to the third picture, that's the steamer, and the hose wagon is right in back of it. This firehouse, the first to be erected by the village, was started on August the 6th, 1912, and completed February 23rd, 1913. On November 18th, 1917, the village purchased an Aaron's Fox combination pumper, 750 gallons per minute, motor car, second city size for Mamaroneck. The next new apparatus, a 1,000-gallon per minute pumper, was purchased by the village and delivered to Mamaroneck in 1929.
Wow. Wonderful, Walter.
That's a little bit of the history of this company.
Very, very interesting. How long did you use horse-drawn fire engines?
The steamer was here until 1926, I believe.
1926. So 1926, you were still having horses pull.
They only ran on emergency. We had a 1917 Aaron's Fox here
Fine.
that answered
Yeah.
those alarms
Where did you keep the horses?
across the street.
Across the street?
Erickson's stable.
Erickson's stable across the street? Wonderful.
And I'm told that when the alarm came in, when he turned those horses loose, they would come over, stand in their respective places, and the harness was up on the ceiling, would drop down. In fact, if you go downstairs and look up on the ceiling, you'll still see the holes where the harness was hooked up.
And it just dropped down onto
Right
the
down
horses.
onto their backs, they would hook it up, and
Incredible.
and they'd go.
Incredible.
The kennel coal and everything was in the boiler.
Uh-huh.
And I'm told that by the time they reached Village Square, they had enough steam up to pump.
Oh, wonderful. Now, do we have any other interesting little things someone would like to say? What about you, Herb? Herb Miller?
All I can say, I can remember 1933. My brother over there, he's the oldest, right now the oldest member of Mamaroneck. That's ex-chief Albert Miller.
Albert Miller? Come here, Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, come here. Come here. Talk to me. You're the oldest member, living member of Mamaroneck, correct? Uh-huh. Why did you join Mamaroneck?
Because for the excitement.
Excitement, yeah. Did they have many fires?
Oh, yeah,
Yes?
yeah. I don't want to, should I say it out of school? You had to have percentage
What do you mean, percentage of?
to run for office.
Oh, you mean of how many fires you went to?
You had to make 60% of fires in a year.
You had to attend 60% of the fires
Yeah,
that Mamaroneck was called to in order to become an officer.
Yep.
Oh,
And if you didn't have enough percentage, we used to go and make brush fires. Make brush fires so you make your percentage.
you'd make, oh, you devil. Do you recall any fire in particular that, was huge or truly took a long time to put out?
Well, they had the lumber fire, but I was overseas in the war.
That was in the 40s.
Yeah.
Yes. When did you join Mamaroneck?
32.
1932. Oh, fine. For excitement, a young man.
Yeah, that's all I got to tell out of school.
You're wonderful. Thank you so much. Ex-Fire Chief Miller. Yes, Herb.
Actually, my brother Lou, he came in here in 1931, a year before my brother. And of course then I followed a year after my brother out. And of course the three of them, we lived down on, formerly of Old Florence Street, now it's Fulton Road. And the three of us had...
Fulton Road was called Florence Street? Really?
And
We learn something new every day.
because it conflict with Florence Avenue and Rhinebeck. So then they changed it to Fulton Road.
Wonderful. Well, let's look at all of these pictures that you have here. And yes,
I just want to
Walter.
add something about the Miller brothers.
Yeah.
We used to call roll here. It was never Albert, Herbert, or Lewis. It was A.H. and L. A.H.L.
So in any event, what happened if they didn't attend a fire? Were they penalized in any way?
50 cents.
50 cents.
50 cents.
But that was a lot of money in those days,
That's why they
particularly
made
in the 30s.
That's why they made their percentage.
They were here.
They were here, yeah, and I'm sure all of you dedicated men. In any event, let's go ahead with all of this memorabilia. Let's look back here. We've got a shovel. What was the shovel for?
I believe that was a groundbreaking, isn't it?
Groundbreaking in 1913? 1912?
Yeah, August 6th,
August 6, 1912, the groundbreaking for this particular building. Now, Walter, you did mention that this was the first building, the first firehouse the village made.
Erected by the village of Mamaroneck.
Oh, okay. How were the other firehouses erected?
They came after.
They came
The
after.
ladder was owned by a land company. They had the first firehouse. But it was not a village-owned firehouse. It was owned by a land company.
So the village then agreed to build this. Is it this building? It wasn't half a building or something, rather it's this building as is now?
As it is now.
Wonderful.
All but the rec room in the back.
Fine. Okay, and so then we have a trumpet. What is that trumpet from? You know when you see a fireman's parade, and you see them carrying the trumpet with flowers in it? I mean, the Grand Marshal. The place for roses, for flowers, okay? So, it's upside down? Oh, you mean it's this way? Okay. Okay. That's fine. That's really wonderful.
Those trumpets were originally for commands. The chief
What do you mean for commands? I don't
The
understand.
chief officer would yell out his commands through that trumpet.
Really? Oh, you mean it's really a... Talk now about the pictures. Who's going to tell us about the pictures?
We'll do a good job.
Okay.
Some of the pictures.
All right. And who's that a picture of?
Chief Tom Holman.
Tom Holman?
Holman.
Uh-huh.
H-O-M-N.
That looks old.
He was chief in 1911.
1911.
Yeah.
Oh. Wonderful. All right. And the next thing we have here, memorabilia, is a banner dated August 17 to the 22nd, 1925, State Firemen's Convention in Mamaroneck. This is an actual banner from 1925. It was a big, huge affair in August. They had a parade. They had, I would think, races and such, and feats, fireman feats.
Yes, but the parade itself was a huge parade for their time.
For the time.
They started in Harbor Heights. They marched all through the village, and
You say they marched all through the village. Do you recall?
yeah.
Okay, so they marched down Mamaroneck Avenue from Harbor Heights.
I sat on the wall in front of the Methodist Church and watched that.
So then where did they
Yeah,
go?
they went down Palmer Avenue, down
Post Road.
Post Road, up Post Road.
Down Palmer Avenue,
Oh,
passing out homebrew.
along the way? Who was passing out homebrew? Were residents passing out homebrew to the firemen since it was a warm August day? Oh, no wonder they didn't mind marching.
That's Chief Charles Persky out of Columbia.
Charles Persky from Columbia? Oh, what are you doing with that picture here?
Oh,
He was Mamaroneck Fire Department chief.
Fire Department chief,
1931.
1931.
He was first assistant to my father in 1930.
Oh, fine, all right. And the next one, next picture we go to?
Dr. John F. Hunter, yes.
Dr. John F. Hunter. You see, we had a couple of Dr. Hunters.
Well, yeah.
Okay, but this would have been the original Dr. Hunter.
Is where the garage is now.
Yes, it's called, the parking garage right outside here is called
That was Dr. Hunter's property.
Dr. Hunter's,
I
okay?
might add that the time that he was president, village president, all these houses were built. Mamaroneck, Volunteers, Columbia, and Halsted Manor were all built during his regime.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
He had done probably more for the fire department in those days than
I also heard that he was the one instrumental in the village getting the harbor.
oh yeah.
Yes, of buying the island and the area around it, so that it truly, we have very much to thank Dr. Hunter for Mamaroneck, for what we are. Okay? And what do we have here?
Yeah, they're convention badges, and also read off those badges. What are they?
The Mamaroneck Fire Department badges.
Just for
One is
different
a-
events?
Yeah, one is a delegate badge.
Where's Billy Frazier? He, those are his badges. Come up, Billy, and explain them. Okay.
Bill Frazier?
Yeah, this, with
You have
this
to turn around here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, these two are from the 1925 convention. That's what this banner is
Oh, the red
affiliated
one
with.
and the green one.
Yeah, this would have been a regular delegate's badge, and this would have been the somebody that was a chairman of the convention. They also probably had a white one for guests and a blue one for members. And what's interesting in here is Mamaroneck High School is imprinted on a badge because it was brand new at the time. And the other badges here, this over here,
Show the people. Yeah.
this little one over here is probably a hat piece, or it could be a regular badge from Orienta Hose Company, which was a hose company down in Orienta that only lasted about a year. And they were number 2, and being that this company was number 1 in 90, this had to be, right around 91 and 92 that this badge was made. And to answer your question of before is how far did they go as a Rhinebeck and Mamaroneck Fire Department, this company was cited for going to a fire on the Scarsdale border up Old White Plains Road up there. 4 miles they pulled this hand-drawn...
You're talking about Mamaroneck.
Mamaroneck
And the
Orienta as a team, and they were both cited for that because they ran 4 miles to this fire in Scarsdale, and this was in 1892, and they got there before White Plains did, because at the time, I don't know what happened to
Yes.
Scarsdale,
Yeah.
but anyway, that's what that little badge is. And this one up here, I figured this one might have had something to do with, this badge was what they wore up until 1917. In September 17, they went to this type of badge down here, which is what we have today. But this one has the friendship with the handshake in it, and that's why I thought that Mamaroneck, it was probably done because of that, because that's Mamaroneck's symbol. The
Oh,
handshake,
really?
and it's kind of right on the badge, so I assumed because you guys were the first engine company, and that's probably why they came out with that one. And that's all this is. It's just the different types of ad, and I've never seen one for Fire Patrol, and I've never seen one for Bonniebrook, but these are the two. These are the two regular badges. And this is
Wonderful.
convention. That's all that is.
Thank you, Bill
If you want to
Frazier.
look at it, it's up here.
Yes, fine.
Bill spoke of the answering alarm in Scarsdale. I can remember ex-Chief Ray Baxter telling me that they had a fire in Rosedale, and they used to pull that jumper that we have downstairs to Rosedale. Can you imagine pulling that thing with 500 feet of hose on it to Rosedale? He said at times, if a trolley went by, they would hook it onto the trolley.
Trolley,
The
yeah.
trolley would pull it up
Yeah.
there.
Now,
But what happens if the trolley, there wasn't
there
any
was no trolley.
I couldn't get down around the corner with that
That's right.
thing.
Now you're saying
Best
pulling.
days.
You're saying pulling, so that means then the men actually pulled the enter. I mean, that's big. That's quite a feat. Yes. While we're talking about badges, let's talk about your uniform. Okay? Now, this is a badge that says you're Mamaro.
No, this is my ex-chief badge. from the
Yes,
department.
chief badge.
Yeah.
What are these things up here on top of your lapels?
That's the pins that the chiefs get. In other words,
Oh, really?
if you're a chief, you get the gold.
Uh-huh.
And if you're an officer, a company officer, you'll get silver.
Oh.
If you
Wonderful.
notice, there are 5 trumpets on his lapel
Oh,
sleeve,
so you're getting some kind of a
which
trumpet.
signifies
Yeah.
chief of department.
Oh, really? Wonderful. And your stripes, what do they?
Each one is 5 years.
5
And the
years?
stars are also 5 years.
Oh,
stars.
so that
got
Walter has 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40?
45.
45. Oh, so sure, they're underneath.
Working on 50 right now.
Really? Oh, Walter, God bless you. Wonderful.
I'm working on 50 now.
I say you're 49 right now.
Yes. Wonderful. Congratulations. Oh! What are you working on? 60, Herb Miller?
55, I'm in 57.
You're in 57?
58.
Yeah, but I don't see any stars on his sweater.
Why put it in the tailor?
Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about more pictures.
Oh, yeah, this picture was a fire at the old Crescent Club on the corner of Crescent and Bleecker Avenue, opposite the Orient Apartments in 1945.
Do you remember that one at all?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah,
What,
yeah.
much damage?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It had a tremendous start when we got there, and there was no stopping it, really.
Do you ever determine what starts the fire?
Oh, yeah. They have investigations, sure.
No, I'm talking about the fire companies themselves. Or it's just that you're just so used to being in the fire, you have an idea of how they start.
Well, there's many ways to tell if there's an accelerant or, if there's a high-volume fire when you get there. It's either a delayed alarm or an accelerant is used to start the fire if it's an arson.
Does the fire company have training sessions for the men?
Sanctioned, state trained.
State trained. Do they go someplace special?
The training center in Valhalla.
In Valhalla now. Now before that, what did they do?
You train.
Strawberry patch down on...
Strawberry patch? down by the Sheldrake River, the brook?
And everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we used to have to do our own
With
training.
the pressure on the hose, how to handle it, and of course, then we ended up with water fights.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, you were learning to control the fire, the
Yeah.
hose. Uh-huh. That's fine. All right. Let's go on to the next one.
Yeah, that's the,
Written in the back.
that was a funeral of ex-Chief Wilbur Goddard out of Wilbur Tompkins out of Mamaroneck.
He was chief in 1918.
1918.
And that was in 19...
Well, he was chief in 1918.
Yeah, but this was taken in 1943.
Oh, my. I mean, there's cars.
Yeah.
Sure. That's wonderful. Okay. And let's go with another one. What is the 2 badges there?
That's the 2 badges from the Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck Fire Department.
Oh.
And that, the card underneath is the alarm card that dates back to, I think there's a date on that, on the bottom.
1890, it says. No, there's a telephone. It doesn't go from 1890.
No,
It probably
couldn't.
started 1890 because it is fire alarm calls. In case of fire and you are unable to go to the box, telephone to police headquarters, number 428. Giving the location of the fire and the proper box number will be sounded direct from the headquarters. So therefore, then, that's then when you had started to have the alarm for the fire. Uh-huh. Okay. Well, if the numbers go up to 66. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, but there's a lot of misses in there. There's
Oh, of
probably,
course.
half a dozen 20s and maybe half a dozen 30s.
When
so
did you,
on.
when did you start to have the
Just-
siren?
Just
To,
look at this alarm card, and here's
Here's
the
another.
alarm card of today.
Yes. Oh, yes. Quite a difference.
difference, huh?
Yes, very much so. How did the firemen know that there was a fire?
The first alarms were sounded from the St. Thomas's Church.
The St. Thomas's bell was rung.
That's right. And I believe they rang 10 times to announce a fire, and then it would come in with the location. And at that time, they had a location of Rhinebeck, Mamaroneck, Orienta, and Weaver Street.
Oh. So it was just the bell going ding, ding,
Yeah,
ding.
They would ring a location.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm certain, though, that there weren't very many buildings or structures, so that the bell carried quite a distance.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I can remember when there was only one whistle, and that was this one right up here.
Yes.
One single whistle. And you could hear that all over the village.
Now they have three,
Yeah.
facing different ways.
And I don't hear it now. I used to hear it.
You're lucky.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead with more pictures.
I don't know, that's gotta be a clam bake somewhere.
Oh, you mean the firemen had social
Yeah.
events?
They look like they've been there for a while, too. I can recognize a few faces in here, but there's ex-chief...
Where would you have a clam bake?
They used to be held up at Hall's Grove on Old White Plains Road, which would be about opposite
Griffin Avenue.
Griffin Avenue.
Way up there,
Yeah.
in Hall's Grove.
Well,
There's another clam bake?
Yeah. Annual clam bake of the Mamaroneck Fire Department, Halls Grove, Mamaroneck, New York, September the 16th, 1928. William M. Tompkins and Son, Clam Bake King. I don't know.
Fine, that's wonderful.
let them see it.
All I see,
Well,
all I see
after
here
the,
is, Reganos and Poches.
no, I don't think there's any Reganos and potions
You
in
know any
there.
of those people in there? Lances?
1928?
Lances?
Oh, I have a feeling I recognize Uncle Millie. As a young man.
Young when he died.
He was. Okay, let's go on. What are those two certificates there? What are they?
Those I don't know.
This was changing the name of Mamaroneck Hose Company number 1 from Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck.
Oh, my. No. Certificate of change of name of the Mamaroneck Hose Company number 1, Mamaroneck, New York,
It was Mamaroneck
has
and
been
Rhinebeck.
filed today, but it's dated 1954. $25 fee to charge to do that. It's probably a renewal.
It says revival of existence.
Yeah, yeah.
Mamaroneck Hose Company
But-
number 1 of Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck.
Well, that's what that one says, not this one. Okay, whatever. Okay, now that very next one, that hand-carved wooden frame. Absolutely incredible. This is hand-carved with all of the little indentations, design, circles, and it is a picture of who, Harold?
Yeah,
No, it's,
Tompkins looks like.
no, that was presented to Mamaroneck by ex-Chief Wilbur Tompkins, but I believe the picture is of Chief Martin out of Volunteers.
Chief Martin out of Volunteers?
Uh-huh.
But it was presented.
So it was presented to Mamaroneck by ex-Chief Wilbur Tompkins in what's the date on the back?
1915,
15.
September 1915. Mm-hmm. It says William Martin, Yes. I see he has a trumpet.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now let's go down to the other pictures. How's about bringing them down here? While we're waiting, I'd just like to hear a story about the flag that's up here on the wall. How's about telling me about the flag?
I don't know that much about it.
Well, where did you get it?
You can read it right there.
I can't read it. Harold, you come and read it.
Put the other pair of glasses on there.
Oh, I can't read it. It obviously is an old flag, hand sewn.
It was given to Mamaroneck by George Whitlock Collins. He was age 93, the oldest exempt volunteer fireman in the state of New York. It says the 1776. It's a 6.
That picture. The picture of the gentleman who presented you the flag. You know, at the time while we're talking about 1776, let us have that Mamaroneck fire, New City fire, with 1900. Particular picture here. I'm going to read it. I can read this one.
I'm taking a back graph.
It says, this is a membership certificate issued to George Warner, dated July 2nd, 1787, and it was found in the loft above the meeting room. Okay? Above the meeting room of Mamaroneck Fire Company in 1949. It was accidentally discovered by Mr. Johnson, an ex-captain of Mamaroneck, while he was investigating a leak in the northeast corner of the Mamaroneck building. This, up there, still leaking. The certificate had been used as a backing for an old discarded picture, and when the old picture fell apart, the finder was working his way out of the loft. The certificate was revealed. It was framed and presented to Mamaroneck Engine and Hose Company at the installation dinner in 1952, and that was by William Johnson, village manager. Now this, I mean, it has had quite a bit of damage, but it obviously is a building that is burning, and it says, these are to certify that George Warner is permanent to law, nominated and appointed one of the firemen of the city of New York, July 2nd, 1787. Isn't that incredible? A find as that such. You'll have to come and look at it later. Okay, now we'll go back to the 19th century.
Walter S. Webb Sr., when he was chief in 1930.
This is
Walter's father.
Walter's father, Chief Walter Weber. In what year, Walter? 1930. Okay? Only 60 years ago.
Chief Ed Livingston,
Chief. And when was he chief?
1945,
1945. Mm-hmm.
out of Mamaroneck.
Out of Mamaroneck. Big, huge. Oh, look this.
Mamaroneck man. I don't know who it is.
Man, does anyone recognize? Ex-Chief Mr. Miller? No? No. Oh, if anyone in our video audience recognizes him, please let us know. It's a wonderful picture.
Gloria?
Yes.
Someone up there told me who that was before. Are you sure it's not on the back?
No?
There's pictures in the journal.
Oh, okay.
This is Jack Lombard. He was chief in 1950.
Oh, 1950. 40 years ago. That was yesterday. See? Chief Lombard.
1920.
Uh-huh.
Wait, okay.
And what is occurring here, Harold?
I know.
That was a presentation to the fire department by the Kiwanis Club. That was Emil Napola, Tony Amoruso, Ralph Robbins in the fire department, and George Milliot and Al Giannini on his club.
Uh-huh.
Hook and ladder chief, Austin Manor, and volunteers.
Yes, yeah. Uh-huh. And this now is going to be our last picture? What is that a picture of?
We got one more.
One biggie. Oh, of Harbor Island. What is that? Is that
That's Hook and Ladder's first hand-drawn ladder truck that was made over here by Mr. Coles, and that's ex-Chief Bob Lemon standing alongside.
So that particular ladder truck was made here in Mamaroneck.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that wonderful? By Mr. Coles. Now,
He was a millwright.
a millwright. Uh-huh. Where did he have his shop? Do you
Off
recall?
Mamaroneck Avenue, I'm told, somewhere off Mamaroneck Avenue.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. All right. And now the last picture we're going to show is another one of Harbor Island, which of course is the farmers lining up with their wares to bring down to the boats at Harbor Island. These are some pictures that we have seen of Harbor Island in different places, but I've never seen such big, huge original copies. Just really wonderful. Now what I would like to ask is, tell me about some big fires you had in town.
Well, I guess in our time, the largest one was the lumberyard.
The lumberyard. Do you recall that, Herb?
Again.
Herb Miller, do you recall that fire when the lumberyard went up on the corner of Waverly and Fenimore?
He was in the service.
He was in the service. Do you recall it?
I drove out of here.
You did.
When I drove out on the apron, I looked over and all I could see was black smoke. And my first thought was it was a tank car on the railroad. But then when I started down the road, I could see what it was. And,
What did you do first?
hook a hydrant.
Hook to a hydrant? Okay, that's a normal thing to do. Okay, then
I
what?
needed water and all kinds of water.
Were there other fire companies there?
At the time.
So you really were the first one there at that lumberyard fire. How much was it involved at
Oh,
the
we-
time?
All one side. The side on Waverly Avenue was completely involved.
Where they stored the lumber?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they backed us, we were in there maybe for 10 minutes or so. And then we had to get out and backed us right across the street up against the lining, Westchester Lining Company building. It's still there, if you
Yes.
recall where it is.
Yes, uh-huh. No, it's not
And,
there.
It's not there.
I don't, whatever, whatever.
43.
43.
June 21st or June 20th.
Was a Sunday.
Yeah.
A Sunday afternoon. Because I remember I lived in Orienta, and we're sitting outside enjoying the nice sunny day, and you look up into the sky and just huge smoke just coming out, black smoke. You just knew something was, and it was that lumberyard.
Yeah.
Was it Mamaroneck Lumberyard?
That was following Hoffman, wasn't it?
No, it was
Hennigson's?
the Barnhart's.
Barnhart
Yeah.
Lumberyard?
You could also see that fire from Nurse Hill.
You could.
I stood in Nurse
Oh.
Hill, and so that's where I came up to see.
And Doc Hunter had set up his office underneath the railroad bridge on Fenimore Road.
First aid.
He was the doctor at the time, as first aid, under the railroad bridge he set up. Did his services, were they required very much?
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
Oh, yeah.
It was a real hot day, too.
He was a fire department surgeon at the time.
Yes. How long did it take to really control it?
Ended up a weekend.
Well, we kept going back, for about 6 days, 5 days.
Because the lumber kept on,
Until they got a bulldozer in there and turned it over, and we were able to get to it and put it out. But, actually, to knock it down, I would say we were there about 4.5, 5 hours.
that's all? Yes, Jim?
Gloria, this is for the fire department in general. How are chiefs nominated and how many did Mamaro produce?
I have a list which I can read off.
One every 5 years.
You want me to?
Chief comes out of this company, 1 out of 5 years.
One every 5 years?
Is that with every fire
Rotation.
department?
Yeah. Every 5 hours.
Rotates from each
Should we
company,
do the list?
including hook and ladder.
See, the man is nominated within his own company. From that nomination, he goes to the annual convention, the fire department convention. And there he is nominated for chief of department or assistant chief of department or whatever it may be by the delegates to that convention. The delegates.
Are you talking about the New York State
No,
Convention?
the Village of Mamaroneck.
The
Chiefs Convention.
The Chiefs Convention. When is that held?
First Thursday in April.
They elect the chief on Tuesday and the following Thursday.
How's about reading down the list of the chiefs from the Mamaroneck?
This is the chiefs out of Mamaro Engine and Hose Company. In 1908, the first chief was Ray Baxter. 1908, William Bone. In 1911, Tom Holman. In 1918, Wilbur Tompkins. In 1925, Wilbur Goddard. 1930 was Walter's father, Walter Weber Sr.
No claps?
1935, Frank Cunningham. In 1940, Reginald Jubb. 1945, Ed Livingston. 1950, Jack Lombard. In 1955, George Hausler. 1960 was Lewis Miller. That was Herbie's other brother. 1965, Walter Weber Jr. 1970 was Albert Miller. 1975 was myself. 1980, John Barney. 1985 was Ron Kapp. And in 1990, and the present chief of the fire department today, Chief Joe Guerreri.
Yay! That was a list of true citizens of Mamaroneck. True.
Gloria, I might add, from Mamaro Engine and Hose Company, the members that went on to village office, Dr. John F. Hunter.
Went to village offices?
Yeah, he became village president. Ex-Captain William H. Johnson became mayor and village manager. And our treasurer for many, many years, Everett H. Smith, went on to become mayor of the village.
We had a question from Cynthia, yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how are things organized? Who's professional and who's volunteer? How does that work?
They are all
Village of Mamaroneck is
volunteers.
100% volunteer.
100% volunteers in the village of Mamaroneck. We do not have one paid fireman.
We're the last of the South Shore communities here.
What?
That volunteer.
We're talking about
Oh, when we were upstairs, say the coming in, the stairs are all crowded, and one can't wait for the other. We had one that opened this window as soon as the truck went out, he jumped right
Into the truck.
postcard. Francis Cunningham.
This was in the late 20s? Was this in the late 20s, Herb?
Huh?
Was this in the late 20s?
30s, 20s? What
30s?
time frame?
When
Oh, this is in the late 30s.
late 30s?
Yeah.
Did he do it more than once?
Oh, yeah, they've been doing it all the time.
Yes, Jim.
How often do they change the fire engines?
Approximately every 20, 25 years.
Say again, I didn't.
About every 20 to 25 years, depending.
Is that with every company or just?
Yeah, depending on the condition of the apparatus. Some will last longer, some may not. You know, it depends on the maintenance record and the condition of the body, and you know whether it's worth repairing or refurbing, or you go out and buy a new one.
Now, this is done by the village.
1972.
This is the village
Yes.
that does all of
That
this.
apparatus over in the corner was purchased by the village in 1917.
In that, the far corner.
This is our present.
Uh-huh.
That's our present pump.
In 1917, and we got rid of that in 1949, so you can see how long that was around.
Yeah.
This is our present pump. It's a 1972.
72.
Yeah.
This one up
Yellow.
here,
18 years.
this one
Uh-huh.
up here we received in 1929, and that went out in 1957.
Yeah, they last a long time. Yes.
Yeah, how many hours does the average volunteer firefighter in Village of Mamaroneck volunteer in a year?
How many hours does a volunteer put in a year
I
average?
think that would be predicated on the number of fires, but on an average,
Technically on call every day. So, you know.
Call 12 hours a day.
Yes, Jim.
In the 30s, I understand there was a fee of missing a fire for 50 cents.
Yes.
What is the fee today?
25.
25 cents.
25 cents?
Uh-huh.
That's just for
Well, the only way we can,
It's a nuisance fine. It's, you know, it's not to get the money.
Fires, because if you didn't fine them, they wouldn't care
Yeah,
if
but
they
how
come out or
come,
not.
how come it came down in price?
Well, because we were losing too many members.
One is,
Expensive in those days when you had to pay 50 cents.
That's what I mean, and
And
today's
they
only
made sure they
25?
came up.
And today's only 25 cents?
Today's only 25 cents.
just for a fire.
how do I join?
That was before income tax.
If you're between
$5.
If you're between the ages of 18 and 45, you take men and women in good physical condition. And then when we
Okay,
we'll
so-
send you to school for 8 weeks. go to-
You send me to school for 8
Yeah,
weeks.
but you go at night. You go for about 3 hours a night, and you take a state-certified course up at the
Do I
county-
go to the fire training center in
Yes.
Elmsford, which
Yeah.
is not far?
No, Valhalla. actually.
Valhalla, okay.
And you take the Essentials of Firemanship, where they take you through that 24-hour course. Then after that, you're certified, and then you take in-house company training, and then the department also trains you on a monthly basis.
So, what outside of doing a community service, what other benefit have you received from being a fireman?
Well, it's a chance for a person to give back something to their community. You know, you're not taking something, you're giving something back, and you're helping out your fellow resident in a time of need.
Mm-hmm. It's really a personal satisfaction that you would have not just taken from the community, you have helped, you have assisted.
Right, and I have one of my oldest son is in the Mamaro with me, and my youngest son is in the Explorer Post.
So it does become a family.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Wonderful.
This is the hose cart that Hook and Ladder gave Mamaro when they first got our charter. It was first used in 1889, and it was pulled by a number of men. We have a rope here that extends out depending on how many people we have pulling it.
You mean a horse did not pull this?
No, this is male power.
Manpower.
And depending on where the fire was, a lot of men to get up and down the hills. It's strictly a hose cart. We have the nozzles with clay pipes. You extend the hose, and then the hose is attached to a pumper cart to get your water, which is a hand-pumped moving water.
So in effect, perhaps what occurred was from the pumper, they had a hose maybe into a little pond or something with water, if there was one close by. And then there was someone doing the pumping after they had finished pulling this hose cart up and down the hills. So I can see if 1 or 2 men are here, but what is this rope for?
This is a rope that extends farther out for more manpower. If you have larger hills to go up, you need more men to pull it up. And then if you had to...
And this rope here unwinds.
Unwinds.
Yes, uh-huh. Fine.
And there's a rope on the back, so when you're going downhill, you need more manpower to hold it. so it doesn't get away from it.
So they are then the brake.
They are the brake.
Then the brake. That's the only All right.
There's some basic tools on here. The fire axe that's used, and a pry bar. That's about all that they use.
Why don't you show us the pry bar? Uh-huh. Do you know how long this old hose cart was used? It was first owned by Hook and Ladder. It was purchased by Hook and Ladder and then given to Mamaro once you got the charter. Now, do you know how long it was used?
Offhand,
This
I don't
manpower.
know. Probably about 4 years.
4? Really? That's all? I have a feeling it was longer.
Well, they got a larger one in 1894,
Uh-huh.
which, you know, obviously bigger fires.
A larger one, but was that one pulled by horses?
I think that's about when they were starting horse carts.
Well, I recall my father saying that there was a fire out in Orienta, and he and other young men got a hose cart and pulled the hose cart to the fire in Orienta and got there before the horses did with their hose cart. And that probably was about, maybe 1914, 1915. So I have a feeling it was, you know, still in use.
They may have used it as a primary, but...
That's true.
A little before.
Or maybe these young men just wanted to prove they could do it.
It's possible.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And this is stored in the first floor of Mamaro Firehouse, behind the regular fire engines, if anyone wants to come and see. It's here. Thank you, Dave.